A season that was to end in great disappointment started in great style. Andy Rammell giving the Blues a first-minute lead against Tranmere. But, as too often during the forthcoming year, home points were to be dropped. Johnny Morrissey beating Simon Royce into the corner of his net. It finished Southend United 1, Tranmere Rovers 1. Now, cup competitions haven't always turned out to be the forte of Southend United. No exception in 1996-97 either. Then second division Fulham grabbed a 2-0 lead in the first leg at Roots Hall. This in the first round of the Coca-Cola Cup. Mike Conroy with that 20-yard effort. Fulham went close again immediately after. And then Paul Watson sealed the victory towards the end of the match. Southend 2-0 down to Fulham, and only the second leg at Craven Cottage to come. Worse was to come when Ronnie Whelan's men went to Oxford and suitably came away with an education. Joey Beecham grabbed the first goal. The Blues failed to learn their lesson. Nigel Jemson stole a second after Southend's defence came under stern examination. Good approach played down the right-hand side, and the ball ending at the back of an unhappy Simon Royce's net. Oxford by now piling on the pressure. Again, good approach played down the right-hand side, and a diving header from Beecham, his second, gave Oxford their third. All of that in the first half. In the second half, things didn't get too much better. Paul Moody's run led to Nigel Jemson converting. 4-0 down to Oxford. Southend were at this stage. David Rush took full advantage of a lacklustre Southend. He shot home for the fifth. Southend had lost at Oxford 5-0. Must do better. A trip to Fratton Park wouldn't have been greeted with too much optimism following the 5-0 reverse at Oxford, but midfielder Phil Gridley's effort cheered the travelling support, striking the crossbar before going over. But all to no avail. Lee Russell turned home in front of Southend's by now leaky defence. It was Russell who applied the final touch. Full time, Portsmouth 1, Southend United 0. Back to Roots Hall and another defeat. First of all, a terrific strike from Swindon's Kevin Watson. Watson's strike giving Simon Royce no chance into the top right-hand corner of his net. It was to get worse for Southend. Steve Coe finding the net. A curling left-footed shot from the edge of the box, and again, Royce, there's not much he could do about that. The Blues were 2-0 down to Swindon. Substitute Paul Byrne crafted the goal of the game. But alarmingly, Southend hadn't chalked up their first victory of the season, and they weren't to get it here. Mike Marsh's own goal confirmed the result. Southend United 1, Swindon Town 3. To their credit, Southend bounced back at Craven Cottage. The second leg of the Coca-Cola Cup match saw the Blues give the match some fizz. John Nielsen surprising just about everybody. The Great Dane being Fulham's Cinderella-style keeper. He got nowhere near the ball. Next up, Julian Hale's cross, Andy Rammell's deft flick, and Southend were back level on aggregate. 2-0 in the first leg, 2-0 to Southend in the second, and all to play for. But a quick toe poke from Mike Conroy, the Blues were out. They'd had their fill of Fulham. 3-2 on aggregate. But while the Essex cricketers competed in the NatWest final at Lord's, Southend rattled up a cricket score against the eventual runaway champions of the First Division. Julian Hale's corner, Keith Dublin's header, Jerome Bora's magic. But, as you might expect, Bolton blasted back. Nathan Blake, their Welsh international striker, bundling the ball over the line. John Nielsen followed his goal up against Fulham with a great strike again, this time against Bolton. But again the Blues were to let Bolton back into it, and McNally, Daly and McGinley had dribbled the ball home. It was 2 apiece and a chance now for Jerome Bora to show us what he could do against the eventual champions of the First Division. Cuts inside one man, beats the second and fires it into the bottom corner of the net. 3-2 up. Next, a long ball forward. Jerome Bora looked offside, but Paul Williams had beaten the offside trap. His shot eluding Keith Brannigan. And John Nielsen was to cap one of his finest displays of the season. The ball cleared out of defence well. Nielsen again involved on the edge of the penalty area, and a run from box to box from the Dane. First shot comes back off of Brannigan. He's brought down for the second, an undisputable penalty, which captain Mike Marsh competently dispatched. 5-2 against Bolton. How's that? But if Ronnie Whelan thought the first home win of the season would inspire his players, he was to be sadly mistaken. At Charlton, there was a terrific goal from Jamie Stewart, which gave Paul Sansom no chance. Sansom was again picking the ball out of his net. A little while later, Paul Mortimer in the end getting the final touch to beat the Southend keeper after the ball had come back off the post. Charlton Athletic 2, Southend 0. A better show at Carrow Road though, a goalless draw. Mark McNally clearing the excellent Darren Eadish shot from the line. A point on their travels, 0-0. Port Vale at home would be a fixture that most would see as one to win, but the Blues again had to be content with a point from a goalless draw. In the end, Vale were to have a great season, narrowly missing out on a playoff place, and narrowly missing out on taking the lead at Roots Hall. But Southend were to have their own chances. Steve Tilson's cross, Mike Lapper's volley, John Nielsen just wide. 0-0. Next though, a day to forget. While some in the Palace suffer from an annus horribilis, Southend at the Palace suffered a gamus horribilis. A 6-1 defeat. Kevin Muscat got the first. Southend's defence again cut open for the second, Ray Houghton, the former Liverpool and Irish midfielder, claiming the classy goal. David Hopkin, who at the end of the season was to join Leeds, grabbed the third from close range. The fourth came from Carl Viet, the Australian. Gridley loses out on possession in midfield, and Bruce Dyer steals in to make it 5-0. Dougie Freedman was the next to take advantage of Southend's defending. He got the sixth. But the former Palace man, Paul Williams, glanced home a neat consolation. Cue ironic applause. Crystal Palace 6, Southend United 1. Next, top opposition at Roots Hall, a top fighting display from the Blues. Andy Walker, though, gave the Blades the lead. Southend came fighting back. Steve Tilson from the left-hand side whipped the ball in, and Jerome Burr stooped to conquer. It was 1-1. Andy Walker, though, again sharp on the blades. Mark Patterson, who later played for the Blues in midfield for Sheffield United. Walker again turning home from close range. Again, Southend came fighting back. Paul Williams with a run down the right-hand side. Paul Burns' brilliant cross into the box led to Mike Marsh's penalty after a handball inside the penalty area. And the Southend captain stroked it home, 2 apiece. The Blues were now rampant, and they looked the side capable of taking 3 points. So it proved as Burrow stabbed home John Nielsen's cross. A home victory, Southend United 3, Sheffield United 2. At Bradford, Keith Dublin, along with most neutrals, thought he'd headed Southend into a deserved lead. It didn't cross the line, claimed the referee. Referee not on Southend's side again later in the match. A shocking decision. Mark McNally, who hadn't been booked, was sent off for this tackle. Not too many could believe it. Despite the protests of the Southend players, McNally walked down the tunnel. But Southend battled bravely, and they stole a point. A great rearguard action. Bradford 0, Southend United 0.
Smith and Stoll look likely to get involved in a bit of a tangle.
The game against Wolves was televised on Sky, and the Blues equipped themselves well with the promotion favourites. A deflection led to a Mike Marsh goal before, almost inevitably, Steve Ball equalised.
On by Crow, Venus supporting the attack well, and Ball goes in and equalises!
Venus with a cross, Ball from close range. They finished Southend United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1.
Steve Ball ends his recent...
Well, this was never a footballing spectacle, but Southend got exactly what they wanted from it. 3 points. Tommy Woodrington's crunching foul on Phil Gridley led to a second booking for the Grimsby player. Therefore, a red card. It allowed Southend the opportunity to try and beat 10 men, which they did. Approach played down the right-hand side, Andy Harris with the ball into the box. Nielsen again finds Harris down the right-hand side. His cross is met by Steve Tilson with a crisp left-footed volley. And Southend had claimed all 3 points. Southend United 1, Grimsby Town 0. Another competent away performance yielded a point. A second consecutive 0-0 result away from home, this time at Huddersfield Town. The Blues in the middle of their best run of the season. They weren't conceding goals away from home at this time. Ronnie Whelan's men made it 3 successive 0-0s when they went to Oldham. Stuart Barlow with 2 efforts in a scrappy match. Southend managed to foil Barlow on both occasions. And at the end of the day, the Blues could have come away from Boundary Park with all 3 points. Andy Rammell did just about everything right in this attack down the right-hand side. The substitute beating the offside trap, honing in on goal, and it just dribbled wide of the post. Oldham Athletic 0, Southend United 0. Then came what I thought was the best individual performance against Southend that I've seen for a number of years. George Clancy, of course, from Manchester City. First of all, he sets up Uwe Rosler with an acute through ball. Then Paul Dickoff finds the Georgian, who makes it 2-0. Next, Dickoff takes a tumble inside the penalty area. Harris's challenge leads to the spot kick, and almost inevitably, it's George Clancy who steps up to make it 3. Paul Williams gives the Blues some hope with a well-taken goal. (3-1), and maybe the Blues would have fight back. They were. Andy Rammell swivels and dribbles past Dibble, but there was to be no fairy tale comeback. Southend United 2, Manchester City 3. Rather fewer people in the ground against Reading. They witnessed Lee Nogan giving the Royals the lead. But Southend again were in fighting mood. Mark McNally's long ball forward, Andy Rammell's flick. Paul Williams lays it off neatly to Rammell again, before John Nielsen's brought into play by the former Charlton striker. Some strike, it's all level at 1 apiece. And John Nielsen was again involved in the build-up to Mike Marsh's penalty. Paul Williams, the man brought down. Mike Marsh doesn't miss penalties, and Southend had the full 3 points. Southend 2, Reading 1. At Portman Road, Chelmsford-born Mickey Stockwell gave Southend the Suffolk punch early on. But the Blues were to hit back as Andy Rammell delivered a knockout blow to Town's hopes of taking all 3 points. Ipswich Town 1, Southend United 1. Andy Rammell was to continue his good form. A well-taken goal for him against West Brom. But the Baggies would have been level fairly quickly afterwards. Paul Pesky-Salido equalising. Southend hit back, a swerving effort from John Nielsen, and Paul Williams turned in from close range. But a very special goal brought the Baggies back level. David Smith drilling past Simon Royce. 2 apiece. And the Midlanders were to take all 3 points. Andy Hunt taking advantage of some woeful Southend defending. Four home points dropped. Southend United 2, West Bromwich Albion 3. Well, it's been a long time coming, and take note because you won't see another. A Southend victory away from home. Paul Williams hooked in to give the Blues the first. And Southend were to double their lead in unconventional manner. Lars Sigurdsson, the Stoke defender, generously gifted a second. There were to be some anxious moments after Richard Forsyth pulled one back. But Southend had squeezed home the victorious ground. Stoke City 1, Southend United 2. Back to Roots Hall, and Julian Hales run down the right-hand side when he beat one man. His pinpoint cross picking out John Nielsen, who again finished with a flourish. But the match was to end in disappointment for Southend. Andy Harris's innocuous-looking challenge on Stuart Barlow . Barlow goes down, and Oldham have a penalty. Lee Richardson, the substitute, is the man who converts it, a point apiece. But when Southend went to Oakwell, they were given the Barnsley chop. Clint Marcel gave the Oakwell side the lead. That after 70 minutes. Shortly afterwards it was 2, John Hendry chipping home from a good angle. And his former Middlesbrough teammate Paul Wilkinson confirmed the scoring, hooking in from close range. Barnsley made it to the Premiership. Barnsley 3, Southend United 0. At Loftus Road, Queen's Park Rangers took the lead when Mark McNally fouled John Spencer. And that QPR stalwart Simon Barker converted the penalty. Another Loftus Road stalwart got the second. Alan McDonald's towering header flicked off of the head of the unfortunate Andy Harris. That was 2-0. Next up, a good save from Simon Royce. But that only delays the inevitable. A great cross from the right. Royce misses and Spencer pounces. Mark Haitley involved in the build-up here before Gavin Peacock struts his stuff. Queen's Park Rangers 4, Southend United 0. Ronnie Whelan brought in Ian Selley on loan from Arsenal. His major contribution at Roots Hall came in the game against Birmingham. His exquisite cross finding a delicious header from Paul Williams, and the Blues had the lead. But again, Southend were to allow a home lead slip. Paul Devlin, the Birmingham substitute, firing home. A neat turn, a cool finish, and it was Southend United 1, Birmingham City 1. The former Colchester United midfielder Mark Kinsella proved to be the scourge of Southend on Boxing Day. The talented Irishman had been on trial at Roots Hall. Kinsella shot home for the first. Before John Robinson confirmed Charlton's 3 points, he started and finished the move. Southend have been beaten twice by Charlton, twice it was 2-0. Bolton had some revenge over the Blues at Burnden Park. Remember the 5-2 win for Southend earlier in the season. Scott Sellers dug deep, the former Blackburn midfielder scoring twice. The first from close range, the second good build-up play, and Sellers stabbing home past Simon Royce. An Andy Harris cross from the right-hand side led to a goal for Southend. Apparently, Jerry Taggart claims the final touch. Gridley, Rammell, and then Taggart involved. 2-1, and maybe the Blues were to get something out of their trip to Burnden Park. But no, Leo Roger appears to have timed his tackle perfectly on Nathan Blake. Not so, says the referee. A penalty. John McGinley steps up, and the Blues beaten 3-1. For the third successive year, Southend tumble out of the FA Cup at the first hurdle, 2-0, this time at Leicester. Steve Claridge claims the first goal. You'll have to trust me on this one. Ian Marshall dances around the Blues defence to make it 2. The picture's much clearer at Bramall Lane, but maybe that's not such a good thing. Peter Cachero gives the Blades the lead. Phil Gridley goes close for Southend. This from Steve Tilson's cross from the right. But if your name's Simon Royce, probably best to fast forward the next 2 goals. The otherwise excellent keeper had a day to forget. His first, David White. And then Gareth Taylor take advantage. Whoops. Should really be pointed out, though, that Royce had kept Southend in a number of games with a series of excellent saves throughout the season. At Vale Park, Southend deservedly took the lead. Phil Gridley cut out the clearance. His shot struck the post, and little Andy Thompson turned it in. But then Steve Guppy and John McCarthy spoiled the day for the luckless Blues. Steve Guppy firing home first of all. Then John McCarthy got in on the act. Ian Bogie with good work in midfield. Neat approach play from Vale. And a well-crafted goal. McCarthy beating Simon Royce to his right-hand corner. (2-1) at Vale Park. Better news at home to Crystal Palace, where Andy Thompson scored for the second consecutive match, firing home from the narrowest of angles. After Dean Gordon's good work down the left-hand side, Dougie Freedman appeared as the free man and turned neatly to beat Royce. But Southend stunned the Palace with a Flying Dutchman, Jerome Boer, netting a last-minute winner. Southend 2, Crystal Palace 1. It was 1-1 at Portman Road earlier in the season, and a second successive draw against Ipswich, although again there were chances. Phil Gridley, Keith Dublin and Ipswich's Paul Mason all going close. But it was to finish goalless. Southend United 0, Ipswich Town 0. Against Manchester City at Main Road, Southend held their own. But Uwe Rosler fired the main men into the lead. From then, George Kinclancy ran the show as the juicy Georgian hit the bar from this free kick. Next, Kinclancy outruns Julian Hales and chips in. And next he waltzes through Southend's defence, picking up the ball some yards from goal, but beats two men, then a third, and then finds Uwe Rosler. Southend were beaten 3-0. But perhaps more significantly, after the 3 goals, Ronnie Whelan and assistant Theo Foley was sent from the touchline. The pair complained too vociferously about a Kinclancy foul on Phil Gridley. Southend chairman Vic Jobson said the behaviour couldn't be tolerated. He sacked Foley as the more experienced partner and suspended Whelan. The suspension was to last 5 days. Ronnie was back in charge for the Stoke match, which the Blues won thanks to 2 terrific goals. The first one from Andy Thompson. No luck for the Blues next, as the impressive Andy Harris failed to react in time. But it was to be no good fortune about the winner for the Blues. Williams finding Byrne, Byrne's flick finds Rammell, and in the last minute, Southend had nicked all 3 points. A rasping drive from Rammell. Southend United 2, Stoke City 1. An important game at Elm Park, but the Blues were to lose. Keith McPherson's towering header gave the home side the lead at Elm Park. But it was to be a more encouraging away performance from Southend. But the Blues still received nothing. Jerome Burwer's neat header gave the Southend contingent and Phil Gridley the chance to celebrate. But Reading stormed back. Michael Gilks exploiting the space to shoot home past Simon Royce. Again, Southend were to fight back. A knockdown from Gridley. A classy finish from Burwer, his second of the match. Back came Reading though to steal the 3 points. Michael Gilks down the left. Trevor Morley applying the final touch. Reading 3, Southend 2. Against Norwich, the Blues were grateful to Brian Gunn. Neat approach play from the on-loan Adam Pollock allowed Andy Thompson to shoot and score. But the Canaries forced a goal, a late flick and more home points dropped. The situation at the bottom was beginning to look very concerning. No joy from a home game against Barnsley, who were eventually to be promoted to the Premiership. Neil Redfern saw for that. Surely one of the most underrated midfielders in the First Division, Redfern stabbed home from close range. But but the Blues were to equalise. Marsh knocks it forward, Andy Thompson takes advantage of some poor defending to shoot home. Level at the break, but Redfern again on hand with a crisp volley that gave Royce no chance. The Blues 1, Barnsley 2. Up at the Hawthorns, Dutchman Richard Schneekers did what he does best, scoring from 25 yards. And the Blues were under another hiding. Paul Raven made it 2 with a header. 2-0 at half-time. After some neat approach play, Andy Hunt's exquisite overhead kick fooled the Southend defence. Before Murphy forced home a fourth. Full time, West Bromwich Albion 4, Southend United 0. Southend's players stayed in the Midlands for the next game and stayed in the doldrums with another away defeat. Birmingham took the lead, Whelan's men having no luck when Nicky Foster shot in. Brum's recent bye from Peterborough, Martin O'Connor, was next on the score sheet. Referee Uriah Rennie judging that lanky Kevin Francis had been fouled. But Southend were to force their way back into it. Gary Ablett's poor clearance, Mike Marsh's fine finish. Birmingham 2, Southend 1. At home to Queen's Park Rangers, Southend were unfortunate not to pick up a point. Trevor Sinclair's run and shot flicked up off Leo Roger to claim all 3 points. Roger and out. Southend were now desperately fighting for their first division lives and desperately needing 3 points at home to Oxford. But in the most bizarre of circumstances, it wasn't to be. Jerome Boer gave the Blues the lead with the aid of a deflection. Mike Lapper's first goal of the season made it 2. And what could go wrong? Well, Southend were reduced to 10 men in the most controversial of circumstances. A case of mistaken identity led to Leo Roger being booked when the foul had been committed by Jerome Boer. As Roger had already been booked, he was shown the red card by the referee. It all led to an angry Blues side, which then conceded 2 goals and dropped 2 points. The first from Nigel Jensen, the second 10 minutes from time. Southend might even have lost the game in a frantic final few minutes. Southend 2, Oxford 2. Ronnie Whelan returned to Merseyside, but probably wished he hadn't. He was as angry as he ever had been during the season after a 3-0 capitulation against Tranmere. First, Kenny Irons forced home. Southend's Paul Byrne went close after good work down the left-hand side from Adrian Clark. But Tranmere doubled their lead. Lee Jones miscuing past Simon Royce. Roger heading clear, Mike Marsh caught in possession. And Jones' shot beat the Southend keeper. Just. John Aldridge was to make it 3 and make it a miserable night. Southend were deeper in relegation trouble. Tranmere 3, Southend 0. An excellent away support and an impressive Portsmouth came to Roots Hall. Despite Pompey's danger going forward, Southend were to take the lead. Phil Gridley with a neat finish. Then came a first-class touch from Andy Rammell. Southend 2-0 up against Portsmouth. Almost inevitably, Pompey were to get just one back. The excellent Matthias Svensson's shot saved. And Paul Hall fired in the rebound. A goalless draw at Swindon in another game in which Southend could have won. Andy Rammell having the best of the chances. But it finished 0-0. D-Day at home to Bradford, one of 4 teams fighting to escape the 3 relegation places. A large crowd, a cup tie atmosphere, and the first goal from Southend. Andy Rammell did the good work. Phil Gridley did the climbing. But Bradford equalised in the second half. Sungot's flick, Adino's finish. 1-1 and 2 points dropped. Southend were then mauled by the Molineux Wolves. 4-1 down at half-time, 4-1 it finished. Darren Ferguson's sweetly struck free kick gave Mark McGee's side the perfect start. It was 2 in 10 minutes as Steve Ball headed home. But the Blues briefly fought back. Andy Rammell firing in. But it was to be only a brief respite as Mark Atkins beat the offside trap and Simon Royce. John Goodman's classic far post header made it a dismal afternoon for Southend. All in the first half, Wolverhampton Wanderers 4, Southend United 1. It all meant that Southend had to win at home to Huddersfield. Anything less than 3 points and the Blues will be playing second division football. The first Terriers goal seemed to sum up the season as Andy Clayton somehow scored. Huddersfield made it 2 in the second half. Again, not the best defending on show. Southend briefly fought back. Paul Byrne down the right-hand side. And after a great save, Jerome Bora made it 2-1. But it all added up to just one thing. After 6 years in Division 1, Ronnie Whelan's Southend United had been relegated. Believe it or not though, worse was to follow. Southend were beaten 4-0 by a poor-looking Grimsby Town side. Nicky Southall scored the first. The prolific Clive Mendonca grabbed the second. Again, Southend not clearing their lines. Mendonca was to claim the third as well. Phil Gridley with the handball inside the penalty area. Referee Rennie quick to spot it. Gridley receiving a yellow card for his troubles. Mendonca converted the penalty with aplomb. And a former Southender, Jason Lee, became the last player to score against the Blues in Division 1, 4-0. But Grimsby and Oldham joined Southend in the second division. At the end of the season, I caught up with some of the people and personalities involved in Southend's disappointing season.
Phil, obviously a hugely disappointing season. What went wrong, do you think?
I don't know. I think if you look at our record, at the end of the day, the tables don't lie. We've scored the least amount of goals, conceded the most, and unfortunately that's relegation. I can't recall us perhaps putting a good 90 minutes together. We've done it in patches, 45 minutes at QBR, 45 minutes here at home against Charlton. But consistently over 90 minutes, we just haven't done it. Over Christmas, that set our stall out for over Christmas. We had a disastrous Christmas, and you couldn't say any one game was a turning point. I think a combination of games. Like I said, we didn't win 2 games on the spin, and unfortunately that's relegation.
Simon, a hugely disappointing season.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's totally gutted who's connected with the club. We've been in the first division for 6 years now, and to get relegated is very, very disappointing.
Scored the least goals in the division, conceded the most. That seems to suggest you deserve relegation.
It did at the end of the day, yes. It's not nice being the goalkeeper knowing that you've let in the most goals in the league. But from a personal point of view, I don't think I've actually played that bad this year to have let in that many goals. But it's just the way things have gone this year for us.
What do you think it all went wrong? Was there one game where you thought, at the end of the day, this is us, we're going down, we can't do anything about it now?
I think the Huddersfield game at home really sank it home for me. To lose 2-1 at home, we really needed to win. And the performance really wasn't up to scratch. And to go down at home when you needed to win to stay up was disappointing, really.
And Keith, obviously a very disappointing season.
Extremely disappointing. I mean, like, we didn't get off to a good start, but at the end, towards the end, I think we put ourselves in it with the bad results at home, and well, we've had teams on the rack and conceded goals in the last few minutes.
Is it home form, do you think, the lack of wins at home, or only the one win away from home that's cost you your first division place?
I think the lack of wins, home and away, conceded this year. I mean, like, we've just lost too many games. I think at the end of the day, consistency wasn't there. You know, like people say, how can you beat people like Bolton so convincingly, then go and lose to other teams? But at the end of the day, within that league, it just shows a team like Barnsley have gone up. No disrespect to them, but I think at the end, I think they was one of the most consistent teams outside Bolton, and those are the 2 teams that have gone up.
The defence has conceded as many goals as Southend's had. You've had a good season personally.
I mean, I've looked away from my personal point of view, but at the end of the day, conceding 80-odd goals, and I'm part of that, that hurts. So from a personal point of view, I think the fact of going down is just overtaken my personal performance or anything of that sort.
Conceded the most goals in the first division, scored the least. That's presumably the problem.
If you look at it that way, yeah. I think it goes a bit deeper now. All over, as you say, the most goals conceded, the least scored. It says a lot about how our season's gone. We weren't good enough overall.
What happens next season? The club big enough? You mentally strong enough to get back into the first division?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of changes in the off-season. We'll try and bring some new faces in. If we can sell, we will, and then we'll be able to buy some in. If we can't sell any, then we'll have to get frees again.
I was going to say, Southend supporters will want to say, we want to go to places like Wolves and Birmingham City, places like that. We don't want to go to Shrewsbury and whatever. What hope can you give them? What have you got to do? What has the club got to do?
They've got to be as committed as what the club is. We are committed to be back where we should be. we haven't been successful last year. We've got to show the commitment, and they've got to follow it. And I think they will. But best of all, we've got to have them here, and hopefully they'll give the backing to the team, and with a bit of luck we can get back where we are. With a skill, with a luck, with a commitment, with a passion, we get back.